Okay, welcome back. We're on deck. This is prep test 85, section 3, question number 19. All right, quite a lengthy piece of work here. Okay, which one of the following is an assumption the economist's argument requires? All right, let's get the argument. The economist. The wages of many of the lowest paid corporate employees in this country would be protected from cuts by enacting a maximum wage law that prohibits executives at any corporation from earning more than, let's say, 50 times what the corporation's lowest paid employees in this country earn. So we'll stop there. It's a long sentence. The Economist is introducing this maximum wage law. Excuse me. I think this rascal is responsible. This and the other 4 million of these guys. So, the Economist is talking about a maximum wage law and goes, kind enough to expound on that, which is you're basically, it's like a rubber band, so the highest paid employee gets at most 50 times what the lowest paid employee gets. Okay, and that would protect you from cuts. Well, now you need to explain to me why that would protect you from cuts. But you start off by saying we're going to enact a maximum wage, so the person at the top can only make, say, 50 times what the person at the bottom can make. Next sentence. Currently, some executives try to increase corporate profits, and their own salaries, by cutting the pay and benefits of their corporation's employees. So it sounds like that's what they're trying to address. They're saying in the second sentence, currently some executives try to increase profits by cutting pay and benefits of the employees. So I guess the maximum wage is supposed to somehow constrain that. Final sentence here. A maximum wage law would remove the incentive for these executives to cut the wages of their lowest paid employees. Okay. And so this final sentence is, again, they're justifying the imposition of the maximum wage law by explaining that'll remove the incentive, so that if I were to lower somebody's salary below its current level, and I'm stuck at a 50-to-1 ratio, well, if they were making $2 an hour, and I cut their rate to $1 an hour, then I was making $100 an hour and now making $50 an hour. So it would remove the incentive. I got that. Okay, and now you want to know what's an assumption underlying the argument, and the argument basically is that we should implement this maximum wage law. So just try to put together what has to happen. And to me it's going to this last sentence, right? You're establishing it removes an incentive. Okay, but removing an incentive is not the same as saying it dictates the outcome. You can remove it. I mean, somebody can act in a way contrary to how an incentive would otherwise cause them to act. So, all right, let's see what we have here. But I'm looking at the word incentive. They may not use that word, but you're presupposing the person responds to the incentive, because if the person doesn't respond to the incentive, then you're going to have the lowest employees' salaries cut. Okay, A. All of the lowest paid corporate employees in the economist's country are employed at corporations at which the executives earn more than 50 times what the corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist's country earn. And that does not have to be true. That does not have to be the case at all. And look how wordy this is. I mean, it's there to doom you to spend way too much time with way too little prospect of success. So again, for me, on a question like this, I go in order here, but on the test I would be going A, E, B, C, D. A, E DCV. B, some corporate executives who cut the pay of their corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist country in order to increase their own salaries already earn less than 50 times what their corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist country earn. Man, is this wordy. And that's not necessary for this argument. Why is it necessary that some executives who cut the pay of the lowest employees in order to increase their own salary already earn less than 50 times? Why couldn't they earn more and do it? So, because the law hasn't taken effect yet. No. C, no corporate executives in the economist country would raise the wages of their corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist country. Good God. Unless such a maximum wage law linked executive wages to those of their corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist country. And that doesn't have to be so. And I think, what do you mean no corporate executive would raise the wages? Why not? Why wouldn't they raise the wages? No. D, if the corporate executives could not increase their own salaries by cutting the pay and benefits of their corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist country. I love this in the economist country stuff. They would never change the wages of those employees. I have no clue. They might change them, they might not. E, if such a maximum wage law were enacted in the economist country, one or more corporate executives would not cut the pay and benefits of their corporation's lowest paid employees in the economist country. Yeah, and that's the answer, because you've assumed that there are at least some employers who are going to comply with the incentive, right? Because the incentive, again, doesn't mean you don't have to take an incentive, right? But E is saying no. At least one of these puppies has got to go for that and comply. And E, yes, if there were such a law and that were enacted, one or more executives would not cut the pay and benefits. They would refrain from doing it of the lowest paid employee. So the answer to number 19 is E. It's death. Try to answer that, and the time you're given is epic. Question number 20, which is at least it has at least it's straightforward here, but short. Okay, and what do I have to? I need to weaken an argument. Okay, I can do that. The level of triglycerides in the blood rises when triglycerides are inadequately metabolized. So you can stop, because it's medical stuff, medical language, and generally not familiar with it. Let's say, okay, so my level of whatever that is, triglyceride, but whatever that is, right, it rises when it's inadequately metabolized. And I want to be careful to include when it's inadequately metabolized. Not just the triglycerides being there, right? It's that the level in the blood rises when they're not metabolized correctly. Next sentence. Research shows that patients with blood triglyceride levels above 1 milligram per milliliter are twice as prone to heart attacks as others. Stop. So now we have a correlation. And we have a correlation with the level of triglycerides, right? And your probability of having a heart attack. Okay. Conclusion, thus, it is likely that consuming large amounts of fat, processed sugar, or alcohol, each known to increase triglyceride levels in the blood, is a factor causing heart disease. So stop for a second. You're weakening this argument. So the word cause should jump out at you. Because anytime you're making an argument in causation, you have to defend, right, against a contrary argument that, one, you've conflated cause and effect, you mixed them up, or two, there's a third factor that caused, both of these things. So this could be a flaw issue. It's to have it here as a weakening. But when I get the conclusion, right, that you're saying, so consuming, A, B, and C here, which do raise the triglycerol levels, right, is a factor. If I'm going to weaken this, I'm going to say, well, no, that when you have heart disease, when that is present, that you're you're more likely to have the triglyceride you have, right, is more likely not to be adequately metabolized. That just turns this on its head, and they'll go in somewhere in that direction is where this is going to end up. So all that work is done. Again, you're constraining yourself to the argument you're presented with. You're not, all right, what do I got here? So A, people with a high-fat diet who engage in regular, vigorous activity, physical activity, are much less likely to develop heart disease than are sedentary people with a low-fat diet. That doesn't weaken this argument. If anything, I suppose it strengthens it. B, the levels, the T levels, above 2 milligrams per milliliter increase the risk of some serious illnesses not related to heart disease. Who cares? It certainly doesn't weaken the argument. C, shortly after a person ceases to regularly consume alcohol and processed sugar, that person's T levels drop dramatically. That strengthens the argument. D, heart disease interferes with the body's ability to metabolize T's. Yeah, that's the answer, of course. I mean, like, why would you read E? We'll read E. People who maintain strict regimens for their health tend to adopt low-fat diets and to avoid alcohol and processed sugar, and that's not weakening the argument. So the answer to question number 20 is D for Drusus, and let's hold on there. Let's come back.